In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my live trading session relying on pure price action, no indicators. The only indicators that I'm going to be using is the supportive indicator, the 21 bar exponential moving average. And you can see we have clearly a very strong bullish uptrend. The EMA is pointing up. We have a series of high highs and high lows. And as a price action trader, the first thing I want to do is I want to identify the proper pattern channel, because there's a reason to price movement and there's always a channel being present. So I'm drawing this channel. As you can see, it is quite nicely fitting channel. But when the uptrend is this strong, you're most likely only going to be working with the EMA, because the bearish pullbacks are so tiny that they're not even going to reach the trend line. Now this is a very strong uptrend because we have a lot of small bars. You can see this is a very healthy angle working higher. I came a little bit late. I didn't get to trade early today, so I missed a couple of good easy setups. But since the trend is up, what I'm looking for is I want to see the correction playing out in the form of a two-legged pullback at the key entry point, either at the EMA or at this trend line. And once the correction plays out, this is where I'm going to be thinking about buying again, because I don't even want to be thinking about selling. It may look overdone, but you're going to make the most money if you're going to be sticking with the direction of the main trend. Traders, I'm resuming the video as I just entered a high-low confirmation setup of the second entry long. We have a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long, right off the key entry point where the downtrend played out with the break and extreme. Now I can see massive push above EMA, and a high low is confirming the second entry long, and more importantly, it's confirming the trend line again, and it's confirming the EMA. So we have two key entry points in price action. The signal bar is very strong bullish bar, and since this is such a very strong uptrend, and we got out. I pretty much cannot be too picky. As you can see, this is a very strong uptrend, healthy uptrend, 45-degree angle. So this was high-low confirmation, and we got instantly stopped out. So high-low confirmation setup of the second entry long, which just barely worked for a scalp. But because the uptrend is this strong and we're bouncing off the trend line again and the EMA, I really felt like we may get at least one little scalp. So our runner just got hit before prices continued trending higher, which is unfortunate. It just came back to the very tick, hit us at break even, and now keeps working higher. As you can see, the price action patterns repeat over and over again, and this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the two-legged correction to the key entry point. We have a first two-legged pullback here, second two-legged pullback here, and then we have somewhat of a two-legged pullback here. You can see second entry long, and then we're waiting for high-lows confirmation setups of the second entry longs or failed second entry shorts. But this is quite a strong uptrend, a lot of small bars. It feels like the market's going to roll over any minute, and you feel like you're buying too high. You feel like the market hasn't corrected enough. And when you feel this is a sign of a strong uptrend, and you pretty much have to force yourself to pull the trigger. And also it's common that the signal bars are not as strong on a day like this. They can be a little bit stacked, but right now the bias is clearly still bullish. We have a potential failed second entry short, but I'm not going to take it because it has moved so far from this second entry long where I'm counting from. As you can see, we are about to have a second entry long at the key entry point, but we have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bar, 7 bar stack right next to each other. This is way too congested even on a day like this, and the second entry long is really struggling to trigger. We have minor congestion. I really don't want to be taking this. At this point, it is way too congested. The sellers corrected a little bit more, but this bias still remains bullish, and I'm still looking for the failed second entry short above the exponential moving average, because EMA is flattening, the trading range has been formed, but we expect new high according to trendline rules. So I'm looking for failed second entry short above the EMA. We didn't get it here, we corrected a little bit longer, but now that the correction was a little bit deeper, that's good to see that the sellers created a little bit more of a pullback. We still could get some nice high probability setup to go long. Alright traders, I'm resuming the video, and we have a failed second entry short about to form, which I was ready to take, but as you can see, we don't have a trigger and prices are reversing back down. So we have 500 ticks left in this bar, so we need to really break higher quickly. Let's see if this triggers. And we didn't get the trigger, so I'm pausing right now. Alright traders, I'm resuming the video as I just took a second entry long off the support, but looks like we may get instantly stopped here on this setup. It's definitely a bit more aggressive, but what I'm looking at, I have a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. The support keeps holding, is a decent bullish bar, but we are getting very close to being stopped out. Let's see what can happen here. The risk is not that big, so it's not that big of a deal. And it looks like we may get hit here. Looking for a new extreme, new high, first entry long, second entry long. We managed to close above EMA. This is why I liked it. I dropped the limit order to save a couple ticks, but the stop loss is really small, not even 2 points. I'm keeping my stop loss 1 tick below the signal bar, but at this point we are very close to getting stopped out here. The bulls are struggling to break higher, but as you can see, the same thing for the bears, and the support still shows signs of buying, so it was worth buying the low here, but we may get stopped out here. Let's see. So this is our second trade for the day, second entry long. I was looking for felt second entry short at first. Looks like I should have been a little bit patient. There are a lot of positives for this setup. Just a little bit too sideways, so picking the right timing to catch the move up may be a little bit tricky. And at this time it will take us out, and we got out. All right, so we will take a losing trade and we will keep looking for another setup. So we have a strong spike after fell breakout. All the sellers are getting trapped and they have to exit. We expect new high, but only way for me to enter is I want to see a good two-legged pullback at the EMA. Right now we have already first entry long far away from EMA, so let's see if we're going to correct and how long the correction is going to last. But my bias is still very strong bullish. This is pretty much nothing else for me to think about. It's unfortunate we get a little bit squeezed here, I get a little bit stacked. But I was supposed to be patient just a couple more minutes before it took off. And right now, I'm still following the rules and waiting for some nice pullback, at least to the EMA, so I can capitalize on prices, creating the new extreme for the uptrend. And that was it for the day. There was no other high probability setup for me to take before it was too late. But the majority of high probability setups today formed at the earlier part of today's session. Now, as a price action trader, you want to make sure you got your context down right, you know where the key entry point is, and you're looking for high probability setups. So identifying the context was fairly easy. Alongside with the key entry point, the market is clearly bullish, and you cannot really just buy anywhere randomly on a chart. You want to wait for the high probability setup, and it's going to be a two-legged pullback, which means at each new high, you're going to reset the count. And by using the counting technique, you're going to be looking for pullbacks to the EMA. And here we had a nice break in new extreme, the second entry long, followed by a high low. There we had a second entry long triple test, which is quite tempting. But for my liking, we never really pull back that exponential moving average, which a lot of times there may be additional pullback just to touch the EMA and then go higher. So I would recommend waiting. And notice another high probability pullback, two-legged pullback, but we can't really take it because it is below EMA. It is not at the key entry point. So once you see this, you see second entry long where the downtrend played out with the break new extreme because we're following the trendline rule. You're looking for high-low confirmation setup or the failed second entry short. We have here high-low confirming this second entry long. Pushed above EMA. The reason why I'm not marking this is because it never managed to fully close above the EMA. It managed to break below, which is not something you want to see to give you confidence. So in this instance, I would wait for failed second entry short, which we got a visual new low, first entry short, kind of like a second entry short failure that ended up being at the same time new high, first entry long, second entry long, right at the key entry point, big bullish bar with the direction of the trend. So another great high probability setup. And at this point, we can see the prices are correcting. You have a correction working lower. You can't really go long. Why? Well, because we have a downtrend in play. Only after there's a break in a new extreme, you can reconsider buying. And you can see this low is by 1 tick lower than this inside the trend line. So bearish momentum played out. It is spot on at the key entry point. It's small enough bar, worth the risk. So this is a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. As you saw me taking the high low. And after that, the price action completely stalled. As you can see, flat EMA a lot of times in the middle of these bars. So much congestion. Unfortunately, I wasn't patient enough. I was supposed to be patient a couple more minutes. And you can see that you have series of lower highs. So when I was watching this and I saw setup like this, I was waiting for failed second entry short. And the whole time I wanted to see push above EMA and a failed second entry short. Why? Well, because we have series of lower highs. So I want to see a clear bearish trap. Once we saw the bears stacking up here a little bit, I thought we may finally continue pushing higher. But I was ended up getting trapped. Most breakouts of trend ranges will fail because you have a clear trend range with a bullish bias. The bulls want to see new extreme. We traded up into this trend range. This was a breakout out of the trend range, and all the weak sellers are selling here, thinking about reversal, but the market is not going to reverse. This is the main pattern. This uptrend needs to get new high. So all of these sellers are going to get trapped and they are forced to exit because you're combining the trend line rule with a trend range rule. Most breakouts will fail. I really don't want to market. Not that the setup is bad. It's a little bit more advanced, but you're not really sure if you're going to have a couple more pushes lower. Generally, you want to see high-low confirmation or at least failed second entry short above EMA, which this was the area where you would be expecting to have high-low or failed second entry short, but none of that formed, and you would be even expecting the two-legged pullback, but that didn't form as well. So just one massive spike straight to a new extreme without a chance for us to enter. Unfortunately, new high has been made for the main channel, so you need to pause your longs. We can see that after new high, there is not even a correction below EMA. EMA keeps getting rejected, so it's not uncommon for such a strong trend to have a longer push. So you definitely are not thinking bearish because this was such a strong uptrend day and EMA keeps holding. We had a two-legged pullback second entry long, but I have clearly a downtrend working lower on my chart, so I cannot take second entry long. I would need to see high low or failed second entry short because the downtrend is in play. There can be break new extreme, especially after the new high of the main uptrend, and at this point market closed. We are finishing the day with a sell-off, which means a lot of bulls are taking profits. Very common during the close. I'm gonna wrap it up. I hope you capitalize on the strong uptrend on the way up, and I'm gonna talk to you guys next time. Take care, everybody.